So here we have our latest model of digital fire hose reel flow meter. Model number is GIDFHRFM3. Comes in a hard case which is padded, an arrangement of cam lock fittings, spare rubbers and cam lock clips. Here's our flow meter, and it also comes with calibration reports for pressure and flow, as well as a comprehensive instruction manual. So this is our latest and greatest digital fire hose reel flow meter. It's Australian made, and it's an extremely accurate way to test your fire hose reels correctly. In the past, from what we've been led to believe, is many fire practitioners purely time water flow into a bucket with texture marks or what have you to determine the fire hose reel output volume flow rate, whereas this gives you instantaneous readings with a digital turbine flow meter and a digital pressure indicator. Extremely accurate, and you can do away with your wheelie bins. So we have a ergonomically designed 3D printed case to enclose it all and protect everything. As I said, a digital flow indicator, a digital pressure indicator. We have an inlet cam lock fitting and an outlet cam lock fitting. We have an isolation valve which isolates the flow meter prior to commencement of a flow test. We have cam lock fittings a variety of sizes to suit most hose reel nozzles. This is an example of one. So you're going to put your hose reel nozzle in there. You will have turned off the fire hose reel at the wall with the ball valve, and you'll open up the nozzle fully. And if you find that it's a bit loose, what you do is you pack it out with additional rubbers as need be, so that you get a nice snug firm seal on your nozzle. And then on the inlet of the flow meter, you're going to attach that fire hose reel nozzle, and you're going to attach a outlet hose on the outlet of the flow meter using the cam lock supplied. With a 19mm barb fitting, you can run some hose off that to make sure that the water is discharged in a clean and safe manner, particularly when you're in buildings. You can run it to a shower or a drain or out a window or what have you. Also, on the inlet, if you have brass type nozzles, you need this special attachment. Cam lock one end and a rubber hose with a hose clamp on the other. So with your brass nozzles, what you will do is you'll do the same procedure. You'll isolate the hose reel on the wall. You will open the brass nozzle fully. You'll slide it into this rubber hose and clamp it off, having opened the nozzle fully before doing so. And then you'll clamp on the hose clamp and attach it to the inlet of the flow meter, and away you go. You do your test and you record the flow rate. Once you've got a steady flow rate, you can obtain a reading. You can also get a line pressure reading before you open the ball valve, and also a working pressure when you do open the ball valve and you have a flow established. Right, a little bit more detail about the digital pressure indicator and the digital flow meter. So with the digital pressure indicator, you'll see on the top line you've got a value of 0 and kPa symbol at the bottom. If you find that it's varying away from 0 as it is now, reading 1 kPa, you press and hold both buttons until OFF is indicated, which is that. Repeat as required, and it will return to 0. The other parts of the menu, if you press the arrow button, you'll have a maximum value. That's the maximum pressure since you last reset it. Press it again. Minimum value, that's the lowest value since you last reset it. Now to reset it, you press and hold the arrow button, and now it's back to 0. If you press the arrow button again, you'll have a percentage indication, which is not really relevant. and you'll have a line temperature 21 degrees at the moment, and again, and you're back to KPA. So it has a long life lithium battery, which normally is warranted to more than 12 months. So when you return this unit for calibration, we replace that battery as part of the service. With your digital flow indicator, it goes to sleep to conserve batteries. It has alkaline batteries, but likewise, it will last more than 12 months. So when you return it, we'll change the batteries as part of the service. When you get a flow happening, it will immediately start counting litres total. If it doesn't, you can wake it up just by pushing the reset button. Now, if you inadvertently push the wrong button, it'll scroll through a series of menus and eventually back to zero, so don't panic. Totals can also be viewed, different types of totals, but when you're doing flow tests on hose reels, all you're really looking for is values of flow in litres per minute and pressure. So with our digital fire hose reel Flowmeter kit, it comes with an array of different sized cam lock fittings to suit different size nozzles on the fire hose reels. In the event that you've got a parallel nozzle on your fire hose reel, like the brass ones, this adapter here allows you to place the nozzle into that rubber tube and clamp it off with a hose clamp. And of course you're going to isolate the hose reel on the wall first, and you are going to open the nozzle fully. If the nozzle happens to have a rubber O-ring on the end of it, you would remove that so that it will insert into the rubber adapter. And then we have a discharge fitting whereby you can fit a 19mm hose to discharge water to a suitable drain point so as not to make a mess inside the building, you know, a shower or out a window or a drain point. So that's what that one's for. And last but not least, it comes with an arrangement of rubber O-rings so that you can pack out your cam lock fittings for a neat fit onto your nozzle so you don't have any leaks. It also has clips for your cam locks and a couple of spare hose clamps for this fitting here. Next thing, we're going to do a live demonstration on a fire hose reel to show you how good this instrument performs. Happy testing, and thanks for buying Aussie made quality. Okay, so we're at the PICAC Training Centre in Glenwood, New South Wales. They've kindly let us use their facilities to do some testing. So now we're going to test a fire hose reel, which is mounted here. And the nozzle that it's got on it is a parallel brass nozzle. The first thing we do is remove the O-ring from the end so that it will slide into our appropriate adapter, and then we'll clamp up this hose clamp ready to commence testing. Before we do that though, we're going to run the hose outside and we're going to flush out any impurities, sand or debris or rust that might be in the line, because we don't want to put that stuff through our flow meter. And particularly in new builds, if you're commissioning a new fire hose reel, there's a higher chance of having debris in the lines. So it's always important to flush it out first. So we're preparing to do a flow test on our fire hose reel. So the first thing we need to do is flush out the line to get rid of any debris that might be in there, like sand or rust or building materials, etc. So we'll give it a good flush. And the water is nice and clean now. So we'll close that nozzle off. Next step is to go and isolate the fire hose reel ball valve so that there's no water in the line. And then we can fully open that nozzle and attach our parallel fitting or appropriate fitting if it's a different type of nozzle. And then we can prepare to attach the flow meter ready to go. So we have our fire hose reel flow meter hooked up to the end of the fire hose reel, ready to do the flow test. For a start, you'll notice that the line pressure is 373 kPa. And we're going to open the ball valve now and get some flow happening. So you can see that the line pressure has dropped significantly, of course, because there's no back pressure now. That is your totalizer that's running. Now to obtain a litres per minute value, press and hold the reset button. So that is your live litres per minute reading, which is around 38 litres a minute. you need to check on what your minimum flow rate needs to be. Right, so we've just finished doing our fire hose reel test and it was within tolerance. So now it's time to restore the fire hose reel to normal operation. The first thing we do is we isolate the ball valve which supplies water to the fire hose reel again. We remove our flow meter and our fitting from the nozzle. We close the nozzle 100%, put the O-ring back on that we took off earlier, wind the hose reel back up and restore water to the fire hose reel, ready for normal operation. Happy testing.